Hello, hello, welcome back to a new year, starting off the year 2024 with my boy, my main, Zur the Enchanter. In this new year, Zur did get a couple of new interesting pieces from 2023, so we'll look over those cards in just a moment. Do they take Zur over the edge in cEDH? No, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, let's take a trip down memory lane. A good friend of mine, Julian, shout out, he'll probably be in the comment section. Oh, secret, okay. We discussed in length, the state of cEDH, and we both agree that really it's just about having high value pieces that just slowly, gain card advantage while you sculpt a hand, and then try to slap down a win, whether it's through a Thoracle or through beats with your commander or something like that. Not so much these combo decks. The problem with these combo decks or these strong commanders is that the deck kind of falls apart without the commander on board. If the commander's not on board to do its thing, then then the deck just can't function. So I know last year in 2023, a lot of people were praising Ob Nixilis. It's like this really good deck. It's like, bro, like a single fucking Drannith Magistrate just makes the deck fold. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have a bunch of garbage garbage cards that are just worthless without Obnix on board. And even if he is on board, the Drannith shuts down this impulsive draw bullshit. So what are you saying? Like, no one, white decks don't play Drannith Magistrate or something? So, but let's take a trip down memory lane, because my boy asked me, how did Zur win an environment before Thassa's Oracle? Well, Zur the Enchanter did what Zur does, which is just a tutoring, cheating necroponies. Now, at the time, a lot of Zur players weren't even on Shimmer Zur. It was the player base was kind of split between Zur with or without Shimmer, and I must admit, I was on the former half. I ran Zur decks without Shimmer. Yeah, probably because the wins were kind of clunky. Let's go over some of his wins right now. So in the olden days, you usually pre-Thoracle days, you usually try to find an Adnaz, the Angel's Grace. You had to find the Angel's Grace. You had to find like a Quicken, right? When you Adnaz through the deck, every card except for one or two. And it's really important that you keep cards in the deck. And then you would find this janky card, and you pretty much just cast a Quicken, draw a card, and then you could play a sorcery at the next sorcery at instant speed. And you would just pitch your hand. Since you were under the protection of an Angel's Grace, you just destroyed everybody for game. That's pretty jank. That's pretty jank. Another win con was Zur had a really juicy Doomsday pile. A card which is grossly out. I still own all these cards. I don't know why, but they don't see any play, and I think they kind of been power crept over the years. But Zur's Doomsday pile included a bunch of cards that are nowhere to be found in any modern incarnation of the deck. His Doomsday pile was this Gush pile. And this Gush pile, it had Gush, Gitaxian Probe, LED, Yawgmoth's Will, and Laboratory Maniac. And so what you did was, first of all, what made Doomsday in Zur just so awful was that you needed a way to crack your Doomsday pile, right? You created your new deck with Doomsday. Now what? You still need a cantrip to draw into the deck, which is not amazing. So you needed something like Ponder or Brainstorm or Preordain, and these cards have also been power crept out of relevance, and in my opinion, as just generic blue cards. And so once you cracked your Doomsday pile, right? Once you cracked Doomsday, You drew your deck, drew your first card. You would draw the gush, and then the gush will draw you 2 cards. And you draw the LED and the Git probe. You would cast the LED, cast the Git probe, and then while the Git probe is on the stack, crack your LED, floating 3 black, draw your card, play your Yogwill, and then, you know, at that point you would once again crack the LED into exile, floating 3 blue, play your Git probe into exile, drawing into your Lab Maniac, and then casting the Lab Maniac, and casting the gush to draw into your empty library. Pretty jank. Pretty jank. Thoracle came along and really streamlined these Doomsday piles, in my opinion. So that's what made Thoracle really good. She really warped the metagame and a way a lot of these decks are played. If you're still interested in something like Doomsday, like I guess one of the better decks to optimize Doomsday is Timna Malcolm, because the Timna could crack the Doomsday. The Malcolm can help pay for the Doomsday, and it's as simple as that. You don't need the cantrips. I know a lot of people in their lists, they'll include not so great cards like Consider, and I think cards like Consider, like a Thought Scour and Mental Note. And from there, you can also run like these reanimation spells, like Reanimate, Unearth, and Helping Hand, just to prove that I'm still keeping up to date with like really bad deck techs. And it would make your Doomsday deck super tiny. So I guess you like order the deck in a way where you mill the Thoracle into the graveyard. And then you draw with the help of these into your reanimation spell, cast a reanimation spell, and then, you know, Thoracle doesn't have to be an empty library. It just has to have the devotion. And in my opinion, all these piles are not even necessary, because, you know, usually your devotion to blue is pretty high in like a Timna Malcolm. You might have like one of the 1-drop pirates. You might have the Malcolm on board. You're gonna have the the Thoracle on board. So that's 3-4 devotion. So really, all you need was a way to crack the pile. I don't think you need all these cards. In my opinion, if you're really into that Doomsday in a deck, then you can run like these old janky like draw 2 type spells, like a Frantic Search, Boomerang, Night Whisper. Deadly Dispute and Perilous Research are really good draw 2 spells, because you could just stack a Malcolm Treasure, right? And then not so good are Village Rites and Nasty End. And there's another one, right? Something Bargain, I think. I don't know what that does. I don't know if it's like a sack a creature or is it just sack creature? I don't know. To draw 2. But yeah, you could stack like your Timna or your Malcolm to draw 3 to arrange the pile. But we both came to the conclusion, Julie and I, that if you really want to do Esper, right, then just run a Tivit deck. And we're both on team. I've been on Team Tivit for a while, even though that's kind of a lie. I kind of just been running like Talion into the ground when I play it in real life. But Tivit's just the way to go. It's just a big, beefy beater, you know. The less gimmicky cards in a deck, the more successful I think it's gonna be, because you're drawing into less kookiness. You're just drawing into like all gas. So, you know, in Esper, you just run Tivit. You know, what does Tivit have? He has the Thoracle package and the Time Sieve. So that's it. Really good deck. Really solid deck. But that's not what you guys are here for. You are here for the Zur the Enchanter deck tech in 2024, because us Zur players are a whole different sort of breed. Now, the way I like to run my Zur deck is just straight combo. You're just going straight for the combo. This is like all gas, no brakes. Right? We're fully going in trying to cast like that turn 1, turn 2 Zur. We do have a couple of plan A, B's, and C's in our back pocket, but we really don't want to resort to that. We're all in on is cheating in the necropotents and winning, adding some speed on our end step. So that's what we do. Now, starting things off, we have all arts. We had to do all the arts. Huh? What the heck is this? This is a foil altar. So you just soak like a foil in water for like 30 minutes, and you peel away the paper, and then you just cut out the image and glue it onto a card. No big deal. Don't overthink it. Right. And so our bread and butter is necropotents, hands down. Most important card, MVP of the deck. I know Italian decks, and I know Demir X, I know blue-black X decks run a couple of important cards that are important in this deck. They try to pretend to be like a Shimmer Zur deck. I haven't had the opportunity to draw into these tech cards. We'll see what we're talking about. What are you talking about, Tuna? We'll see. So necropotents, you usually pay, you drop that turn 1, turn 2 Zur. You're going to mulligan aggressively into a hand that allows something like that. And then from there, hopefully you're ahead of your opponents. They don't have like 20 power on the board. And you pay like 34, 35 life, draw a ton of cards, and then we're going to try to stitch together a win at our end step. We're in a Shimmer Mirror list, so while we're storming off, we do want to be able to find infinite mana. So we do have the Isochron Scepter, Dramatic Reversal, very boomer combo, but it still works in this deck. I was thinking about Hullbreaker, but he's just too chonk. He's too thick of a creature, and I do run Ad Nauseam in this deck. In our back pocket, we do have the Heliod Suncrowned Walking Ballista combo, because Heliod Suncrown is an enchantment that we could just cheat in with Zur if all else fails. I do find myself more than Thoracle Console in this deck, winning with just an infinitely large Walking Ballista, casting it at instant speed and just pinging the board. So, and then of course we have a Thassa's Oracle, a Demonic Consultation with a Tainted Pact for backup. Too simple. Now, you say, hey, Tuna, why not run, Doomsday in your Zur deck? Well, one, it's not the easiest to cast like a triple black card. Not impossible, but just not that easy. And two, especially that Gush Pile, that's really outdated. If I did run Doomsday, there wouldn't be a Gush Pile. You can't run a Gush Pile and a Tainted Pact in the same deck, because Gush Piles require that particular combo that I discussed earlier. I think that requires like four islands, dude. 4 islands, and we're on Tainted Pact, so we're limited from the amount of islands we can use. We have a black blue, blue white, 1 island, 1 snow. That's too few to really like jam an old school Gush Pile Doomsday into a deck. And not only that, there's no way to crack the pile, and also all the other cards in that old school Gush Pile, like none of those cards are even in the modern version of Zur. LED, I'm not in red. What am I going to do with an LED? Go minus. So, yeah. Tainted Pact changes things. Totally changes your mana base. Anyway, we run all 3 colorless Shimmer Mirror creatures. I know there's a lot more over the years. There's like the new Gandalf the White, but he's way too thick. It was like 5-6 CMC. But we do run the Shimmer Mirror, the Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter, and this new thing, the Skittering Cicada, which is a card I already have to keep my eye on because it's been power crept by another card we'll talk about in just a moment. We also have these weird Quicken type abilities that let us play cards at respective cards at instant speed. Quicken lets us play the next sorcery at instant speed, draw a card. Scout's Warning lets us play the next creature at instant speed and draw a card. And then, of course, Born Upon a Wind, which is really, really strong card, makes me reconsider this entire pile. Believe it or not. If I was guaranteed to Necropotence and guaranteed to always find the Born Upon a Wind, then I free up so much space in this deck. Free up like a ton of space. But Born Upon a Wind, and the next, you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash, draw a card. Very strong deck, such a strong, very strong deck, for such a strong card. A lot of these blue-black X decks just so happen to be running Necropotence in their deck. Jam, like a Born Upon a Wind, because they have like these anime fancies that they're gonna have like a gigantic hand and just like drop everything onto the board. I've tried it. I have yet to have the opportunity, have that opportunity come up, but I don't know. In other decks, it's one of those, this is one of those cards I keep an eye on. I do like Necropotence in decks nowadays because of another card that was released last year that helps just like cheat it into play. Our counters package, starting things off, we have the Silence. We're faster than our opponents, ideally, so we can run like a Miscast, Fluster Storm, and Offer You Can't Refuse, Dispel, Swan Song, Mental Misstep, Fierce Guardianship, Force of Negation, Mind Break Trap, Pact of Negation, and a Force of Will. Nothing out of the ordinary. No mana drain. I am feeling mana drain in the current meta, just not in a deck like this. Mana drain is nice because it could catch like maybe a 3 CMC spell easily, and then it just becomes like a ritual for the next turn to cast like a Tivit. That's really, really cool. Our Tutor package, we have the full suite of the instants. I went out of my way to get the Boomer art. So we have the Vampiric, Enlightened, and a Mystical. Gotta have that Boomer art. Gotta hit that boom boom. Ow. Lemdal's Vault, really underrated card. I don't see it enough in decks. It's an instant speed tutor. Like it's another Vampiric tutor, so I don't. And a lot of decks are not even on Ad Nauseam right now, so why not? Imperial Seal, Diabolic Tutor, Symmetry, very strong card. So when I do Necropotence, usually try to keep like a fetch land available, so you can crack the fetch after your Necropotence, right after you add like 34 cards to your hand into exile that will soon be in your hand. You could scan through the deck really quickly, and if by chance a Scheming Symmetry is in your hand, you could get whatever's missing, right? A Shimmer Mirror, perhaps. Not that it's likely. There's 4 of them in the deck, but you could get whatever you're missing to help close out the game. Whatever you give to your opponent is inconsequential because you really will be closing out the game at instant speed at the end of your turn. Predator's Grasp, still very, very strong card. I'm still on the Predator's Grasp train. If we go into a long game, for whatever chance Zur can't land, maybe I just get a win condition from an opponent. I don't know, things like that. I was actually theory crafting and how crazy it is in my other mid-range type of decks where I'm abusing clones. How you can clone your opponent's Tivit and then Praetor's Grasp for their like time sieve and just it's funny stuff. And Beseech the Mirror, I'm still really have strong feelings about this card. I really like it. Every time I cast it, I close out the game. In other decks, how much work it does in this deck, we'll see. So I will keep an eye on its performance. Maybe it's not necessary in Zur the Enchanter. But if I'm under a Born Upon a Wind or a Quicken, and for whatever reason, I can't close out the game. Because believe it or not, having your hand size and having your like turn 2 hand size plus the 34 plus cards with Necropoints doesn't always guarantee that you'll be able to close out the game. If you have terrible luck like me, it's very likely. So you kind of need like I don't know, like in Marvel Infinite Timelines, right? You need as many avenues, as many routes as open as possible to victory. You just need it. You need all the redundancy in a deck like this because you're really, really, really trying to close out the game. We're all in. We're all in this version of the deck. Some removal. Very simple, minimal spot removal. Just trying to get rid of the 1 or 2 pieces that are hindering us from going off. Chain of Vapor, Alchemist Retrieval, March of Swirling Mist, Psych Rift, and that's about it. As I play the game, as I play this deck once again in real life, I'll keep note of whether or not I do need more spot removal. My opponents are not so much into stacks anymore, right? I don't believe like Orcish Bowmaster hurts me. Or Orcish Bowmaster could kill me if a different opponent has a Rhystic Study out. So, if one opponent has an Orcish out and a different opponent has the Rhystic Study out, and I could easily die to that. And that's a real thing that happens too. So, but not as many like rule of law type effects are around right now. Rituals, we have the full suite of rituals. We have Demonic Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Call in the Week, which got this JP Ver foil, which is pretty neat. Sacrifice, which isn't a foil, and it's not beta either. I Sharpie the edges, and then I put a foil inner. All my cards that are like never available as foil, I put a foil inner. But then the cards that are available foil and I just don't own them, I shame myself by not putting foil in. Reign of Filth could get some value, maybe like 2 or 3 lands, maybe. So it becomes like a Dark Ritual. Another card I gotta always keep my eye out. When you run a deck, right? Even if it performs badly that night, you kind of just have to keep playing that deck into the ground so that you learn its matchups, you learn where it's weak, where it's strong, what cards are overperform, which cards underperform. A lot of times I'll be in pods and someone gets scraped up and they'll bust out their real deck, their real deck. It's like, no, you gotta run the deck into the ground to really see, to really learn it. Now, these rituals, right? When you're gonna most of the time sack like the Zur. So when you do sack the Zur, try to let the Zur just hang out in the graveyard. Don't put him back in the command zone. It's gonna add to your threshold count. Little things like that could go a very, very long way. I'm still on Ancient Excavation for the basic land cycling. Just kidding. I think it's a really strong card, even if it's a little overly costed. You when you have these big all-in type of decks where you just have like a ton of cards in hand, you can still whiff. You can absolutely still whiff. And so if you are able to cast the Ancient Excavation, you're not going to whiff after that. You're going to have like 40 cards in your hands. You're going to add another 40, discard like a bunch of lands. So it's really, really, I think, a really, really important card in a deck like Zur. I don't know who else wants like a Ancient Excavation. I don't know who else draws like a zillion cards and has to win right then and there. There's another deck that does it, right? I don't know. But I'm still on Ancient Excavation. Very, very important card. And then our draw package, we're still on Peer into the Abyss. We could ritual into a PETA, we could find infinite mana and then nothing to do with that infinite mana because, you know, our combo is kind of like slowing down, right? And we still can't close out the game. But we do have a Quicken and a Born Upon a Wind, and we could PETA and just keep digging deeper into the deck and ultimately find our way to victory. We have Ad Nauseam, and because everyone's back on Angel's Grace for some reason, so are we. In the old school days, like the only way you cast your Ad Naus was if you had Angel's Grace in your hand in the boomer days of Commander. Anyway, they're back. They're back. Angel's Grace, you know, if there is an opponent faster than us, which is unlikely in this current metagame, then we can use Angel's Grace offensively, which is pretty cool. I was thinking about the Teferi Mage of Zephyr or whatever, the 5 CMC creature with flash that just shuts down shit as like another silence type effect. Something I'll think about. Even keeping Ad Nauseam in the deck, like I gotta be honest with you, usually the Necropotence lines are so strong, like I never ever find myself ever needing Ad Nauseam. So, you know, there's that. But then again, I could have the matchup where Zer's he's just not happening. And you're gonna have matchups like that. Your opponents are not stupid. They know to keep Zer off the board. They're gonna mulligan into like Zer hate, you know, just so they're not the ones. So they'll go down to 2 just to guarantee that they're not the ones losing that match. So keep that in mind. Wrapping up the rest of the deck, we have our other enchantments. We have a Mystic Remora, Heuristic Study, and a Phyrexian Unlife. Phyrexian Unlife is another cool synergy with Ad Nauseam, right? Not the greatest, but Zer can cheat into it. So, you know, you have the Ad Nauseam in your hand. You swing with Zer. You swing with Zer, find the Unlife, and Ad Naus your deck. It's just an option. These are just options. Like I said, the more combo intensive a deck is, the more gimmicky cards you're gonna have. So like the consistency is kind of like. But if you don't like any of that stuff, then like I said, but you like Esper, jump on Tivit. Just have all like the white and black and blue creatures that draw cards, and sculpt a hand and win. It's as simple as that. Our other creature, we had the Ethereum Sculptor to make things cheap. We have the Helm of Awakening, same thing, make our artifacts cheap. We have the Wishclaw Talisman, a card I'm actually off of in every other deck but like a turbo deck. If I'm just running a generic like mid-range deck, I'm not on Wishclaw Talisman. I think it's not a good card. You know, the games are too slow. What the fuck? Am I gonna just cast the Wishclaw, sit on the Wishclaw, and then maybe use the Wishclaw, pass it to somebody so they find their win condition and then they win? So I'm not really on Wishclaw Talisman on anything except for a turbo deck. Now don't forget, Wishclaw Talisman doesn't say anything about sorcery speed, right? I could crack the Wishclaw Talisman at my end step. I could cast it, right, through my Shimmer Mirror and crack it. It's still my turn. So that's something to remember. We got the Defense Grid, kind of like a pseudoscience effect. We do have the One Ring. If I do find the One Ring kind of like obsoleted Sensei's Top in this deck, I think. Maybe they need both, but not right now. And the One Ring is really cool because under the ISO Rev, you could draw through the deck. Under a Hullbreaker loop, you could draw through the deck. And that's all pretty cool. And then our rituals, we have a Lotus Petal, Jewel Lotus. Our other rocks, we have Talisman of Hierarchy, Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Progress, all the talismans. We have a Fell War Stone, Arcane Signet. We have a Mox Amber, another card I don't know how I feel about. Mox Amber only works well with the Zur, and a lot of times I probably will sack the Zur to like a Calling Ritual. So, like I said, it's just redundancy, right? Between the Calling Ritual and the Sacrifice and the Mox Amber, like, I don't know. It's going to be like one of the three, but never all three. So, I don't know how I feel about Mox Amber in this deck. Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, Mox Diamond. The Grim Monolith, Soul Ring, Mana Vault, and Mana Crypt. And then wrapping things up with our land. Our land is very strict colors. No, not too much space for like the utility lands like Atawada or Minari, School of Waters. Just do cute things of like, the One Ring. No time for that. There's no time for that. We do have all 9 fetches. We do have just one single swamp in the deck. Just one single swamp as our basic. But we do have all duels and shocks, duels and shocks, duels and shocks. We just want the blue cards, so we have Sea of Clouds and Morphic Pool. To help cast some of these talismans, we have Ancient Tomb. And then everything else is just a rainbow land. All the rainbow lands I could think of. You have a Gemstone Cavern, a Command Tower, a Cavern of Souls to make our Zur uncounterable, which helps a little bit, right? And then every other creature is practically colorless, so it doesn't even matter. A Forbidden Orchard, because we're wrapping things up quickly. Don't care about anything else, giving your opponents creatures. Exotic Orchard, Mana Confluence, Gemstone Mine, Tarnished Citadel, and the City of Brass. And there you have it, ladies and germs, starting off 2024 with my main man, Zur the Enchanter. Now, a lot of you guys ask how I sleeve up my cards. So we'll talk about that really quickly. I like to do that every now and then. So this is an outer sleeve from a brand called Mana Moon. Try to be on their mailing list because it's usually like mailing list drops. And then I'll have like 2 cards, like a fancy sleeve, like this really expensive Pokemon sleeve, and then this sleeve, which I don't care about. It's like just a chunk Pokemon sleeve, but it does have like this gold trim, which is a really nice detail. And so I'll just take all of that and I sandwich it together, and there you have it. And that's how your boy Tutor Fish likes to sleeve up his commander. You can't do a whole deck like this because it would be like it's just way too thick. Anyway, thank you so much, and ta-ta.